Hello, welcome in. Get out the cold. Remember, shoes off at the front door. Get some snacks and come take a seat and join us here in the Music Shack with both.
Ray, hi. Sorry. Oh my god.
We're leaving that in. And Jack, hi. Welcome back to another episode. Thanks for joining us for another episode. We are bringing look. I said this on Twitter. Friday the whatever date it was. Friday the 11th, 12th.
Yeah.
Friday the 12th was a great day for annoying people and people with amazing music taste. Just saying, because
yeah, we are both.
Yeah. Not tooting our own horns, but yeah, we are. Because the amount of projects and the amount of things that released, as well as this stuff we've been absolutely like spoiled with over the last like month or like 2 months. We are getting to we're getting to some things really, really late, just because of how this has worked out. There is a lot.
We're bad at things because I don't know. We're just bad.
Fair. We're going to be a lot better at it, potentially when Ray is British.
Yeah.
Because we'll maybe be able to do more like first time listens and stuff. Not first time listens, but like album reactions and stuff like through first time hearing it, so we don't have to like break it down and like write big scripts. We can just do it on the whim. But there has been a lot. We're not going to keep you waiting too long. This video is filled with our opinions of albums from like Clairo, Gracie, Sabrina, Griff,
much new music.
Yeah,
so much new music.
Someone called Car Burns, as I called them on Twitter, accidentally because my autocorrect done me wrong. Cat Burns, who's incredibly talented, and
Wow.
Grace Enger.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we start with Clairo? Why don't you introduce this album to us, Jack?
Firstly, we're coming up with Clairo's Charm, third studio album. Not going to spoil how I feel about it, but Clairo has said, obviously, the title Charm is a reference to the popular saying, the third time's the charm, which obviously she had revealed in the announcement for the album. But it's, there is, obviously, we're not going to do track by track with this, we're just going to do a summary of how we feel about the entire like project as a whole. And I don't know, we can just run down. So there is 11 tracks. This is 38 minutes and 7 seconds long. Track 1, Nomad. 2, Sexy to Someone. 3, Second Nature. 4, Slow Dance. 5, Thank You. 6, Terrapin. 7, Juna. 8, Add Up My Love. 9, Echo. 10, Glory of the Snow. And 11, Pier 4. And yeah, I don't know who wants to start, or if you want to start, or if I want to start breaking it down, but you can go.
I can talk a little bit about my thoughts on this album, and I will just say, like, if you haven't listened to this album, whether you're a fan of Clairo or not, like, please listen to it. It is probably my favorite album that I've listened to this year. It is absolutely incredible. I hope that it gets the recognition that it deserves when it comes to award season next year, and I'm sure when that happens we will talk about it. If you don't know Clairo, she hasn't released an album for 3 years, and I think that the 3 years that she took off were so like worth it if this is what the outcome was.
Yeah.
Because we kind of alluded to it while Jack was introducing the album, but sonically, the album is incredible. The production is so full, and it's something that I have complained about on this podcast while listening to other music, and it is just absolutely like you listen to the music and you feel complete, like with the way the production sounds. It takes you into the emotions of the songwriting, and Clairo's always been an incredible songwriter, but the production just takes this album to a complete next level that her previous album didn't have. And the music literally like embraces you throughout the whole thing. It's stunning. Mm-hmm. And it's like really soft and hazy, dreamy vocals. And there's like, but it's still woven in with synths in a way that like works really well. That like I think about like Taylor, and she has like, I wish that like her production and vocals mixed together in this way, because I definitely see the possibility of that, but I need more, you know.
Yeah.
Not to just compare, but it's true. My favorite song on this album, I think, is Juna. I love like the ding 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 sound. Whatever. You know what I mean because you've heard the song, but like I don't know what that's called. But um I think I just like, it just takes you to another level, Jack. I don't have much more to say other than that, but what are your thoughts?
No, I mean, you summed it. Like, I don't know. I like this project is really, like, really, really something special. And like, and through this channel and stuff, we spoke about how, or at least I've expressed my feelings towards like how I thought Older by Gracie, by Lizzie McAlpine, was like a masterclass in production, and it is. It really is. But this is like, I honestly thought there would be no album that would be able to express that as much, or around the same way, as that album did. But this album, is like,
it did remind me of Older when I listened to it too. So it's funny that you say that.
it's just like the thought that goes into like each of these tracks is like, it sometimes shows you like there is a lot of artists not putting in this amount of work, and they don't have to, or they do, like they don't want to or whatever, but like you can just tell the amount of love that went into every single song through like the songwriting, the production, like just everything about it. And like, I'm obsessed. Like there is a bunch of, I don't know if there is one song that I like can decide is my favorite. So
really,
yeah, I think like there is like a bunch of like really high like there's songs that like are fighting for that position, but they're not like, I can't decide off a favorite yet, but I think that'll come with time. But like Second Nature, Thank You, Terrapin, like are like some of like just my favorite sonically as well as like production wise. And it is like, it's to go away and to come back and release this is like,
it's great.
it really is. And it's I now don't know what my contender of like album of the year is going to be, and we're only in the 7th month. I know there's still a bunch of time for projects to come out, and I know a lot of people slow down this time of year, but it's I just hope that this whole project gets what it deserves, and you can only hope that happens. But this is like,
I
genuinely
really think like, I believe that I hope that this album gets the recognition it deserves. But I do think that this album is so incredible that I would nominate it for album of the year personally, based on the albums that we've had so far. But it's really hard to know what will happen. It's so good, like so good.
Like,
we should do an album of the year Music Shack edition, and I think that we're not going to spoil who we think is going to win that.
that is good. Yeah, okay. And now I can keep my mouth shut, because comparing albums and stuff is not great for that then. But we probably will maybe do like an album breakdown down the line, maybe like once it's had the time, like a lot of time to mature, and come out with different thoughts and like an understanding of, but because it has only been 2 days, but it has been a fun 2 days listening to this. We're not going to go into too much of each album, because we probably will down the line again, like to
the interest of time.
And yeah, we're really struck for time. This we're really bad at planning, and we've planned not really badly, but we've just not really thought about what we're going to do, like in terms of like timings for the next couple of weeks and stuff. But we're here.
It's just tough because I'm moving and everything, so we're busy people, so we're trying to record ahead of time. You probably noticed that we're wearing the same outfits as the last episode, so you know.
We will be changing for the one we're recording tomorrow, so we won't be 3 episodes in a row, unless something happens. I don't know. We end up in the same place.
Help. The next thing that I think we want to talk about is another album that came out not just a couple days ago, but about a month ago now, like just under a month ago. It's The Secret of Us by Gracie Abrams, which obviously had the Taylor collab on it, but also had a bunch of other songs, which I have been personally listening to nonstop. So this album is Gracie's second album. Second album, and it released on June 21st. It is described as Abrams' most extroverted album and follows just under 1 year and 4 months after her debut album, which was Good Riddance. Abrams confirmed that she had started working on the album during the Good Riddance tour. Regarding new music, she said, "The energy of the music that I've been making this year has felt like when you run home to tell your best friend every detail of your night. There's almost a satirical, dramatic element to the music this time around. Not that I wasn't obscenely dramatic in the past, but I was laughing while writing these songs. I hope that energy is felt when they belong to everyone else." Which I think is super interesting about what she said about this album, because I can hear some of that, but maybe not in all of the songs. So, Jack, what were your thoughts on this album?
Yeah, so we got Risk as the first single, and like happy 4 years of minor as well. When we're recording this, so we got Risk as the first single, and like I really love the sound of Risk. Like I really love the sound of Risk, and I was like, that is kind of. Usually, obviously, singles can go one way or another. They can like be an introduction to like what the rest of the album is going to sound like, or it can be like this is a curveball because this is like going to be the most like the best performing track out of because of like how it sounds. Like the rest of the tracks are like really a different sound, or they're like more slowed down, or like they usually put like songs that are like a lot more not safe to play on the radio, but like will do better on radio, etc. Like stuff like that. So I was really just trying to understand what the sound of this album would be, and I couldn't figure it out from like the thumbnail, like the art. Sorry, by shout out Abby. I just couldn't figure it out. So this came out, and I think I was really interested. I was like drawn more in when the first track, like when I first heard the first track, Felt Good About You. Again, this is 13 tracks, 47 minutes long. And there is a deluxe apparently coming at some point. She did say an acoustic show. So that's fun. So yeah, they were drawn in by the first track, and again it was like a full on journey. Like I think Gracie is definitely getting stronger in her vocals. Like she's really coming along like such a far way, and is like a lot more confident in like what she's writing and like what she's saying and like what she's singing about. So it's been like really interesting journey, and especially through this album, like it did take you on a journey. Some different vibes from different songs, and yeah. So I think like I'm really happy with how this turned out, and it's like one of those albums that you take back and you're like, okay, well this is really good. It's really not how I thought it was going to sound, but I actually do really like it. Trying to describe it is really hard because it was like a sound that I wasn't expecting to hear. But there is like the tracks that get me the most on here is like Tough Love, Normal Thing.
I love Tough Love.
So good. And Blowing Smoke. So if that gives you an idea of like the songs that I really like from this project, that gives you like maybe a better feel of how I feel about it. I Knew It, I Know You is also a great one, but I really like this project. I just find it really hard to like narrow it down in terms of like how I feel about it, because I'm still trying to process the sound of it. It's been a month, and I think I still find new things every single day with like what I really like about it, what feels different, and why I'm maybe like, oh, I don't like this song as much, or like certain things like that. But I think like this is a really Gracie style, and she's coming along really far. She's doing what she likes to do. Like the production on it, again, like huge shout out to Aaron, is like really strong on this project, for certain songs more than others. The stylistic changes through like different tracks to give like a different vibe, is what you were saying. Like I don't get almost like the running home, like laughing, or like and like that kind of vibe from all the tracks, because there is some tracks that's not the vibe of it. But I do get what she's trying to say about some of the tracks that that she's saying like that about you.
I feel like there's a couple tracks that like really scream that for me, and I think that's like Tough Love is a big one, Risk is a big one. I could even see like Felt Good About You being that. There are some, and then there's some tracks that like Gave You I, for example, Gave You I, which I'm like, I just don't see that at all. Like it's such a difficult topic that is discussed in that song that I can't like understand. But my thoughts on this album are quite similar to yours, I would say. Like, I just kind of agree. I think the big thing that I'm curious, like, first of all, I think Close to You was just tacked on at the end. It doesn't fit the album at all. Obviously, it wasn't recorded at the time this album was made, so it makes sense. I think it was maybe just a promotional thing, but it just sucks because the album Closer being Free Now would have been perfect. Like, it just
really well.
It works really well, and so just to put Close to You there, it almost ruins what could have been like the perfect bow at the end of an album. I do think that unlike Good Riddance, which I think did an incredible job describing the theme that it was going through, and perhaps once we hear the deluxe track on this album, I will feel differently, which again, I really don't feel like an album should be like that. I feel like this album potentially felt more rushed. Gracie wrote it while on tour. It was just songs that she was writing on tour based on those emotions, but I think that if she had given herself another 6-8 months to finish writing this album, the songs that would have been on it would be completely different, and I think that the story might have felt more complete because there are some songs that tie together well, like Tough Love and Free Now, I think tie together really well. But then there's some, like Felt Good About You also kind of ties into that. I Love You, I'm Sorry a little bit. And then there's a song like Risk that is completely different. It feels out of place in terms of like, it's like a song about a new romantic adventure rather than, talking about something that was old and just ending. And I just feel like the lyrical themes are super all over the place, but sonically it's pretty cohesive.
Yeah, that's actually like a good summary of it. I guess we should talk about this. How did you feel like that came through when you first listened?
I personally really liked it. I really liked the bridge. Okay, I personally really liked Us. I think I really liked the bridge, and I still really like the bridge. You can really hear Taylor's vocals on it.
Yeah.
Again, lyrically, sonically, I think it really fits the album. It's the same thing. I feel like lyrically, like, I don't understand where this piece belongs in the story. And I think that although a very good song, like, it could have been placed differently on the album potentially needed more development. Because I do think 1 year and 4 months between albums is like not enough time.
It's really fast, just especially if you're on tour as well. Yeah.
That's it.
I looked at the track list and stuff, but I think if I didn't look at the track list and track 5 came on, just because of the sound of it, like I could tell, like if I could tell there was one song that Taylor was on, it was this sound, it was this song.
Yeah.
Just like the intro, like the production, is nice. Like I think you've summed it up really well. Like the album is like really cohesive sound wise. It's just like the story is a little bit messy, but it's also like it's one of those things like, is this purposeful because it's like explaining how messy it like it's like trying to simulate how it is in your head in terms of like the relationships and how many things can
I
be,
think
or
that
if
I mean
like...
I think that like Lover is a good example of an album that's super messy but portrays a cohesive point really well. And I think that once we hear the deluxe tracks, I'll be able to tell you the answer to that question, but it's really hard for me to say right now.
We'll probably do like an actual breakdown of tracks when the deluxe comes out, because then it'll give us a better chance to like talk about it album, because there's not a lot we can say.
Definitely give the album a listen if you haven't already. The next artist we're going to be talking about is not released her album yet, but will be very soon. Sabrina Carpenter, who I'm sure you guys have heard both of her songs already. She's been blowing up, but Sabrina is releasing her new album, Short and Sweet, on
August 23rd.
August 23rd. Thank you, Jack.
It's all right.
And she has released 2 singles from that album so far. The first being Espresso, which is like extremely popular. I think we talked about it briefly when it came out, about how like we were addicted to it. And then it became popular on TikTok. Like, we are the trend starters, actually.
So true.
And then Please Please Please, which was the next single off the album. Jack, what were your thoughts on Please Please Please?
I definitely didn't vibe with Please 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 as much as I did Espresso, but I think it's really hard to pair these up together because of like how Espresso was just like an utter bop. Please 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 has performed really strongly, as I think it's just impossible for Sabrina to not like do really well at the minute, which is really cool because obviously it's deserved. But yeah, I still like the sound of it. I still like what's been said in it. It's just like, if I was to choose one of the two, like Espresso is like one of those, like I'd probably choose over it. But yeah, really strong performance, and it really kind of tying the album really well together. Like, I'm now even more excited than I was for the album. The rollout for this album has been really fun. Like the graphics made, like the style is really interesting.
So
we got the track
like
list as well, right?
Yeah, so we can go through the track list, but the style of the artwork and just like all the graphics with the songs, like it's totally like super cohesive. I love it. And I also liked Please 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 a lot. I love Jack Antonoff's production on it. I think that them being paired up is like super a good match, production, producer and singer wise. There are 12 tracks on this album, which is short. I'm so over 12 track albums. Like, can we do like 15 is good, 14, 15, like that is what an album should be. But anyway, her album is short and sweet, just like the name.
True.
And the first song is Taste. It's called Taste, so we'll see. Please 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 is track 2. Then there's Good Graces, Sharpest Tool, Coincidence, Bad Chem, Espresso, Dumb and Poetic, Slim Pickens, Juno, Lie to Girls, and Don't Smile. So 12 songs with interesting names. I have no idea what they will entail, but Sabrina, I think, based on her previous albums, so like obviously Emails I Can't Send, the sound on Espresso is different than Emails I Can't Send. It's similar but quite different. And then previous to that, her singular act 1 and 2 were very different sound wise to Emails I Can't Send. So I just think that Sabrina loves to experiment with new sounds every era, and I think that I'm super happy that she's super successful, because I'm not a Sabrina Carpenter stan by any means, but I have been listening to her music for a long time. I remember like literally being 19 years old, so like 5 years ago, and listening to Pushing 20 like on repeat, because I was like, this song is about my life. But so it's really nice to see her be successful. I think it's totally deserved.
Yeah. And it's like really up for artists trying new things and like keeping it like new, and Sabrina seems like she can't miss, and it's just, again, each single that's released is just more exciting and getting us more hype for the album, because I'm excited to see how this goes. We will probably do like a proper like reaction to that. Sabrina's smashing it, and these songs were really fun. Espresso was fun. Please 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 is also fun. I feel like I have nothing to say about these tracks, like any of these tracks we've said today, but I just honestly, I'm just vibed to like pretty much every single one we spoke about. Griff released Vertigo. So Griff's been doing a really interesting rollout with like this album. So there was 3 parts to this album. Like
Yeah.
so the way it worked was like Vertigo, so it was called Vert 1 Go Volume 1, which had 4 tracks on it. And then the next one was called Vert 2 I Go Vol 2, which had 4 tracks. And then Vertigo, which is like all of them put together.
I think the rollout is super interesting. The fact that she did these like 2 batches of 4 songs, and then the album length itself is 14 songs. Yay. No 12 song albums. But the album length itself is 14 songs, meaning apart from those 8 songs, there's 6 new songs on the album. I can do math. And personally, like, I listened to the volume 1 and volume 2 of Vertigo when they came out, and then now I've been listening to just the 6 new tracks, really. So I think from the perspective of a rollout, from like a business perspective, it's interesting because like I don't see any benefit because you're getting less streams essentially first week because there's less songs for people. But I also think that it's nice to be able to absorb 4 songs and then absorb the next 4 and then the next, you know, like, because she also had a single before this, which was Anything. So really there were only 5 new songs on this album that you hadn't heard before if you had been paying attention. So I think from a fan perspective, I did like having that and then being able to kind of put everything together in this whole album perspective once you've heard all the different parts. It's interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking for that thing. So yeah, like it's interesting. It's an interesting rollout because, as you were saying, like it does minimize the amount of streams you get on first day, but it is also like a rollout that we've not really seen done in this way before. So like, is it like a win because it's been like a new thing and like it's really hard to do that in the music industry nowadays, because there's so much, everybody's done like everything. So I don't know how much it would have played on, like, because the streams will eventually, the streams on the songs won't change. It's just like chart position and stuff that'll be different because of like, but then I guess they can rely more on like album sales and stuff, so it's more of just the streaming numbers that would be affected with the charts things. But Griff said, introducing the record, the album is about vertigo as an emotion and the dizziness and upside down feeling of a heartache. I wanted to drop this project in parts, from Insular Low Feelings Volume 1 to Desperate Euphoria Volume 2, and with Volume 3 the full story. Which is, just a really interesting, I don't think we've seen this for a while, or at all. I don't think I've ever seen this. Which is really fun. The put of your stomach up is down sense that the world is spinning faster than you can keep up with, and your own place in it has never felt less secure. It's a journey of self-discovery that Griff has taken fans on ever since, building the 3 volumes of our landmark project in real time and weaving songs that resonated with the Vertigo arc into work that moves through melancholy and heartache into healing and joy. A coming-of-age album shaped for complex times. Vertigo witnesses Griff scaling new creative heights without compromising the hand-stitched, homemade magic that marked her out as British pop's most modern, exciting voice. And that, that's the feelings I got from it. Like, I've listened, obviously, as you have, when the volumes came out, listened to them. So it was really nice to hear the whole album as a whole. I think a lot of my tracks, like my favourite tracks, again, I'm really bad at summing them up to one. But I think maybe my track at the moment is maybe Astronaut. But that was also obviously on the first volume. But there's a bunch of tracks that I really love from like the new version. Not the new version, but the final like version. Like Where Did You Go is really good. Same as Everlasting and stuff. Like there's just a bunch I really like.
I think it's really interesting how, you know, obviously the title is Vertigo, and the first half of the album was like the volume 1 was like slower a little bit, and then the second half was like more, as she said, when you showed. But then when you look at the track listing, it's not like it's volume 1, volume 2, and then the rest of the songs. They're all like a little bit, there's intertwined with each other, and I think it's interesting because you're like going back and forth between emotions essentially. And yeah, my favorite song overall is 19th Hour. I've been obsessed with that song since it's come out. It's so good. And then I think out of the songs that are new, I really liked Everlasting is probably my favorite, but overall this is a top tier album for me. Anyway, continue. Sorry, Jack, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. I was literally just going to say, like, yeah, the production on this is really exciting. It's something that, as like that, like synopsis said, that it is really like taken, like allowed Griff to like reach this new height of creativity, and like with this rollout, it's been obviously like something of like a learning path, and you love to see people reinventing stuff, and Griff's like one of the most exciting like voices coming out, and it's like, yeah, I just think like to have projects like this that are still creating like a buzz, doing it your own way, while being able to back up with the vocals, the production, the stylistic choices made within the song, like the songs, is like, yeah, like, because there's a lot of like stuff behind doing something different, but then not really being able to like show anything for it, whereas like Griff has like done this, made a mark, and been like, no, I can like stand here and like also like do this as well, and it is, yeah, like the tracks, there is no like end of amazing tracks on this project. And this is another album, again, it's like we're recording this after 2 days, so like these albums haven't fully sunk in, at least for me, and like the more they process and the more they go through my ears, the more I'm gonna utterly fall in love with them, because like the voices that we're talking about today,
so good,
are the voices that you should be listening to and hearing what they have to say, because they have such an important, like, and like such a beautiful way of doing it, and it's like so inventive of like an industry that's like really the samey, whereas like these people are doing it different, doing it in a really fun way, and have so much to say, and in such a good way, and Griff is like really fucking cool, and so is Clairo, so is Gracie, so is Sabrina, and so is you. In fact, have you got any summary thoughts before I round us off to someone else?
I think that it's an album, if you haven't listened to it, if you haven't heard Griff, go do it. She is absolutely incredible. I think the 4 artists we mentioned today, if you haven't heard any of them, if you haven't heard their new music, these are the next up and coming artists, so please listen to them because their music is incredible and we love supporting them. And there is one more artist that released an album this past week that we are going to do a deep dive on. So we're not going to really talk about it because I haven't heard the album and I really, really want to, but I'm waiting for the deep dive. So Jack, why don't you talk a little bit about the album, like very briefly, just so that if people want to listen to it ahead of the deep dive, they definitely should.
Okay, so Cat Burns is a voice that I found, I don't know when I found, I think it was like a bunch of people found in lockdown at the same time, I'm guessing, because it was at the height of the song Go, pack up your shit and go, banger.
Yeah, I've heard that song, yeah.
So good. Obviously we're going to be doing a first time listen with Ray. Ray's heard like 1 or 2 songs, so obviously going to avoid those songs when we do it, but it is still like a big like thing, but yeah, so early 20s Cat Burns is debut studio album by the British, Jamaican and Nigerian singer-songwriter Cat Burns. It's was released to really, like, I've only seen positive stuff about it, and Cat had, my alarm's gone off. Cat had this to say: early 20s is my love letter to this period of time in my life. It's my attempt at showcasing the highs and lows of being in your early 20s. The album talks about romantic relationships, both my own and people closest to me, whilst also speaking about introspection and accepting who you are. This song and album covers so many beautiful points, goes through and like tells such a beautiful story. The like themes spoke about here are like really strongly like things that I like support heavily and like love. So it's like really cool to like have sort of like a voice in your ear like helping you along the journey you're on and like trying to discover these things for yourself as much as like Kat it was going through and is going through while obviously producing this album and like working on this album. And there's a bunch of amazing songs on here, like Know That You're Not Alone is like a really good one. Live More and Live More and Love More. So much good ones. You've obviously got like bangers, previous bangers like People Pleaser, Go. Yeah, there is really no shortage of like beautiful tracks. Honestly, there's not. I can't say too much because of
yeah. Well, tune next week, and then you will hear more from music. So be sure to do that.
Yeah, but go check it out if you want to watch before you find out like what the tracks are and stuff, because it's really fucking good. Go support Kat.
Yeah, I do think like it's also really important. Something that I notice in stan culture, especially in the indie pop space, oftentimes like just to be really really blunt, a lot of the times the white artists get like all of this like more stan support, and I think it's really important we have a voice on this podcast and to share like Griff and Kat and artists that are diverse and sharing their stories and should also be appreciated and loved just as much. And I think that it's really important to listen to those artists as well and make sure that they're just as successful, because more diversity in the indie pop space just makes the industry better, pushes other artists, and it's super exciting. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. There's also one more thing. There's a new Gracie Abrams song that came out. It's called It's No Fun. Yeah, it's called It's No Fun. It's super fun. The bridge is really exciting.
You said it was no fun.
Stop. The song itself is fun. The name is It's No Fun, but it is a fun song, and the bridge is super good. So it's just like one of those songs that you can like scream to, which I absolutely love. So go check that out if you haven't already. She's also another up and coming artist that we highly recommend. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this little like recap of a bunch of new music all at once. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, and look after yourself. Take care. Bye.
Bye.